Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now, if you have clicked on this video, congratulations, you're already thousands of rank ahead of others. Because today I will discuss 248 questions from anesthesia, a subject which I bet majority of you might have decided to skip the revision and have not yet have touched the PYQs, as you have many major subjects lined up. Now, this is the mistake that you do, and that causes the drop in your rank by thousands. Now, I know that this subject carries less weightage, but if you do only the PYQs before the exam, it helps you to mark 80 to 85% questions correct. So, I have given you the correct guidance. Now, it is on you if you will watch it further or not. So, let's start the video. Now, these are the topics that we will be covering today, and I have a advice for you that nowadays the questions from this section are asked less. So focus on these topics more if you are sitting for INICET or NEET exam. Now earlier they used to ask more questions, and that is why you will see more questions from this section. But nowadays they are asking from these sections. So prioritize accordingly. So let's start with the first topic. The first topic is intubation, from which 14 questions have been asked. A patient who was on ventilator and being ventilated for past few days suddenly pulls out the endotracheal tube. What is the next step of management? Now, if the patient has pulled out the endotracheal tube, that means his reflexes or his normal body functions are returning back, and he wants to start spontaneous breathing. So the first thing you will do is watch for spontaneous breaths and re-intubate if needed. That is why we have created newer ventilation machines, or the modes like the assisted ventilation or the intermittent ventilatory machines, that helps to catch up or add to your spontaneous breaths rather than forcefully giving the breathes or the circulation. So this would be the answer. And these are the factors which determine the self-intubation, like FiO2, PaO2 is to FiO2 ratio, ventilator mode, the gender. Now next question is the time required for pre-oxygenation before the tracheal intubation. See, this is a very important question, and it can be solved by looking at this table. See, what are the steps for rapid sequence induction? You first pre-oxygenate with 100% oxygen for 3 minutes. Then you administer rapidly the IV induction agents along with the muscle relaxants. You have to do it simultaneously. Then you do the Sellick's maneuver by putting the pressure on the cricoid, and then you do not ventilate the patient, because your aim in rapid sequence induction is to save the time and prevent the air insufflation in the stomach that will reduce the risk of aspiration. So you will not do bag and mask ventilation that you do normally, and then you do the direct laryngoscopy, confirm the ETT replacement and remove the cricoid pressure. So the answer here would be 3 minutes. Next question can also be solved from the above table. All are true about the rapid sequence induction done in the cardiac patient in emergency except. See, induction agent and neuromuscular relaxants are added together, right? A patient is pre-oxygenated for 3 minutes before procedure, right? A cricoid pressure has to be applied till the endotracheal tube has been secured with a cuff. That is right, and this is the Sellick's maneuver. Induction should be done with thiopentone sodium and succinylcholine for muscle relaxant. I told you above that thiopentone sodium and succinylcholine are the drugs that are given, but in a cardiac patient, thiopentone is contraindicated. You all might be knowing this. And remember that the cuff used is of high volume and low pressure. High volume and low pressure, so that it does not cause damage to your tube or tracheal stenosis. So the purpose of rapid induction is to reduce the delay that you do by not doing the bag and mask ventilation, injecting the induction agent and muscle relaxants together, and putting the ETT tube without any delay. Now next question, identify the incorrect statement in the rapid sequence intubation. Pre-oxygenation with 100% oxygen for 3 minutes, correct. High volume, low pressure cuff is used, correct. Induction agent and muscle relaxants are given simultaneously, correct. It is a method of choice in cardiac arrest patient. See, in a cardiac arrest patient, your first priority is to bring back the circulation. So you will do the CAB, right. So compressions or the CPR will be your priority here. And then, and also remember that, ETT insertion or rapid sequence intubation, all these steps are more important in the post cardiac arrest care, when you have already resuscitated the patient back. So the first treatment here would be CPR. So this is wrong. In a cardiac arrest patient, your priority will be to revive the patient's heartbeats. And remember, the agent of choice in intubation are basically for induction agent etumidate, and for muscle relaxants cis etra and vancomycin. Now this is going to prevent the tracheal stenosis and compression. Next question, during laryngoscopy and intubation procedure, all these are true except. See, this question was asked in 2003 and then it was repeated in 2016, and that is why I say that doing the last 20 years is important. A slight pressure may be applied at the cricoid cartilage, correct. A laryngoscope is held in the right hand, introduced from the right side of the patient. Now, everywhere you are taught that, universally you insert it through your left hand, even if your dominant hand is right or left. So this statement is wrong. The neck is flexed with extension at the atlanto-occipital junction, that is right, and the angle is 35 degree. For the atlanto-axial joint, the flexion, the extension is at atlanto-occipital joint of 15%. So this statement is right. After insertion of the laryngoscope, it is leveraged on the upper incisor to pull up the tongue and visualize the vocal cord. Now this statement is also wrong because you always make the movement forward and upward so that you do not injure your incisors. But among these two statements, the more wrong statement is the B one. So the answer is B, and if this question is repeated, mark this, the B option as the answer. Now next is, given set of instruments are used in central line insertion, arterial line insertion, airway management, or umbilical catheter insertion. See, here you can see the laryngeal mask airways, the oropharyngeal or the nasopharyngeal tubes, and you can also see the laryngoscopes. So this is definitely an airway management mechanism where you are going to insert the ETT or secure the airways. And tell me in the comment section that which is the Mackintosh and which one is the Miller's laryngoscope. Now the next statement, identify the use of the following instruments. So these are the laryngoscopes done for the laryngoscopy, and one is Mackintosh and one is Miller's, which you will tell me in the comment section. Now the next question is the diagram of the correctly positioned ProSeal type laryngeal mask airways provided below. Above what site is the arrow marked area of the airway position? So this is the arrow mark and where it should be positioned. See, don't get confused. It is not marked at carina. The tip should be at the tip of the esophagus, that is above the esophagus. So you might be thinking that if it has to be placed in the trachea, then why do we have to put the position at the tip of the esophagus? Because that is the right answer. Don't get confused with the carina or the vocal cords. Next question, the maneuver performed during laryngoscopy and endotracheal intubation is, see, you do the flexion of the neck at the atlanto-axial junction of 35 degree. You do the extension of the head at the atlanto-occipital joint at 15 degree, and then you lift the epiglottis by tip in a straight blade laryngoscope. So these are the maneuver. The merit of a nasotracheal intubation is good oral hygiene. One-liner. Now next question is, the laryngoscope should be held in which hand by a right-handed person for the purpose of intubation? So either you are right-handed or left-handed, it doesn't matter. You always held it in left hand. Now next topic is equipments. Now these are more asked nowadays. So the first question is, the blue pipeline in the operation theatre is used for delivering which of the following gases? Remember that blue is for nitrous oxide or nitrogen. Now the shoulder here is of different color in the nitrous oxide, but for N and N, the blue is there. For oxygen and air, it is black. And I hope majority of the platforms might not have taught you about the color of the vacuum, which is yellow. So do revise this table again. What is the color of the medical oxygen cylinder? See, I told you oxygen and air are of black color, and the oxygen one is with white shoulder, and the air one is of black and white. So this is the answer. Now next question, a sevoflurane vaporizer can accurately deliver the dose of the anesthetic agent. It resembles it in which of the following properties? See, all these inhalational agents basically depend on one property, vapor pressure. See, remember, when the temperature increases, the gas actually converts from liquid or solid phase to gases more, and that creates more pressure on the walls, resulting into high vapor pressure. So temperature is directly proportional to vapor pressure, and this is one of the most important properties for these gases. And this vapor pressure is important for the order of the placement. So the more the volatile gas, the more the potent gas, and the more is the toxic the gas, the downstream it is placed. Because if there is a leak, then if these gases are placed first or upstream, then they can leak into the patient and they can cause more damage. So gases like oxygen or air, these are placed upstream, and these types of gases which are volatile, toxic or potent, they are placed downstream. Like nitrous oxide will never be placed in the sequence in the upstream. This will always be placed in the downstream. Also, this question has been asked that desflurane is the gas for which different container is required, because it has a very high, it has actually the highest vapor pressure and the lowest boiling point among all the gases. So its container is actually Tech 6. And for there is one more container known as the Aladdin cassette, which is used for these gases, the desflurane, isoflurane, sevoflurane, and halothane and enflurane. So you can look at the table. The desflurane has the highest vapor pressure and the lowest boiling point. Now the next question is, the laryngeal mask airway is used for the maintenance of the airway. Very simple. Pressure tracing that identifies the placement of Swan-Ganz catheter in the pulmonary artery. It is used for actually measuring the temperature, and pulmonary artery is the best location where you can measure the accurate temperature. So this is the gold standard method, and the catheter you use is the Swan-Ganz catheter. Remember, this has been asked and it can be asked now also. Now pulmonary artery pressure tracing has dichrotic notch from the closure of the pulmonary valve. So this is why the pulmonary artery is the most preferred site. Now another very confusing question, the appropriate size of laryngeal mask airway for an average adult patient weighing 50 kgs is. See, you all know that for children you are taught that 30 to 50 kgs you prefer 3, for adult females you prefer 4, and for the males you prefer 5. But if the male is 50 to 70 kgs in weight, you prefer the 4 as a size, and that is what was asked, and that is why I say that PYQs are important, because this was repeated recently. Also tell me in the comment section that what is the pressure at which the laryngeal mask airway is applied. Next question, the most important constituents in the soda lime for the reabsorption of carbon dioxide in the closed circuit. Very easy, calcium hydroxide. Now the next topic is ventilation, from which 19 questions have been asked. Now, very different question. Now this question was asked recently, I think in 2022 only this was asked, but this question was a repeat. It was asked in around 2014-15 and now it was repeated. So this you might not have been taught in the coaching centers, which you prefer. Which of the following is associated with respiratory alkalosis? See, in these modes of ventilation, it is only the assisted control mode ventilation which results into hyperventilation or hypocapnia, and that causes respiratory alkalosis. In all others, like controlled, mandatory, pressure controlled, and the intermittent mandatory ones, ventilations, there it causes hypoventilation and therefore no respiratory alkalosis will occur. Rather, hypercapnia ki wajah se acidosis might occur. But this is the only one where alkalosis occurs, respiratory alkalosis, because it causes hyperventilation. See, this was asked earlier, which of the following is the most associated with respiratory alkalosis? So this was assisted control mode ventilation. Now ventilatory support is required if SpO2 becomes less than 90%, because, see, this was very easy. Read the other options. Peripheral chemoreceptors become insensitive to hypoxia below 90%. Central chemoreceptors also become insensitive. Patient reduces the capacity to generate enough tidal volume. Can you even imagine that if a patient have such a hypoxia and patient will not have the the response to them, like patient will definitely have stimulation of chemoreceptors, peripheral and central, and also they will be more forced to inhale or exhale. So these all are wrong, and the answer is the tissue becomes vulnerable to hypoxia below 90%. And these are the cutoff criteria where you start putting supplemental oxygen therapies. So for an adult and for children less than 1 month, SpO2 if goes below 90% and PaO2 goes 60, and for neonates SpO2 if becomes less than 88%, then the PaO2 is actually 50 mmHg. A patient of blunt chest trauma has been started on mechanical ventilation. Which of the following is not correct about the initial settings? Now this question is very, very important because it was asked recently in the NEET as it is. So see, respiratory rate 12 breaths per minute. This is obviously right. This is the minimum, bare minimum you should keep. FiO2 of 100%. This is also right. PEEP of 5 centimeters of water. See, minimum. This is the amount that you have to keep. Otherwise, the air alveoli will collapse at the end of expiration. So this is the minimum value that you must keep. And tidal volumes average जो आपको देना चाहिए, that should be 6 to 8 ml per kg and not 12. This is too much for the initial range. See, later on you can increase it, but the initial should be 6 to max 10, not 12. 12 is too high. Now, also, go back to your notes and look at all the initial settings that are done, because questions have been asked on it. Now the next question is in a volume cycled ventilation. See, volume cycled, where you focus more on the volume and the pressure is constant. Inspiratory flow rate should be at least 60 to 100 liters per minute. Then 100% oxygen is given at the end of anesthesia after discontinuing the nitrous oxide and removing the endotracheal tube, so that diffusional hypoxia does not occur. So this is the reason, and this was repeated recently. It was a question of 2007 and now recently it was repeated. Confirmation of the placement of double lumen tube for pulmonary surgery is by bronchoscopy. See, anything if you have to visualize and get confirmed, then you will go for direct visualization, and that is through bronchoscopy. So that is the gold standard method. The most common cause of hypoxia during one lung ventilation. So only your one lung is working and it is being ventilated. Then the most common cause of hypoxia can be, if there is any kind of shunt, and if that shunt increases, that is majority of your alveoli are not working. Next question, technique used to maintain proper oxygen flow to the patient is proportionator between the nitrogen and the oxygen control valve, a different pin index for nitrogen and oxygen, and a calibrated oxygen concentration analysis. See, these were certain options which I am telling you, which these can be repeated. True about the CPAP is initiate early in the preterm. Definitely, you will start, otherwise the alveoli can collapse and respiratory distress can increase. And initiate with more than 50 to 60% FiO2. I just now told you, if you are going for ventilation, it should be at least 100%. But if you are going for CPAP, it should be at least more than 50 to 60%. Improved lung compliance and oxygenation. Otherwise, the patient will not be able to go for because in the CPAP, spontaneous breathings are required. Now, another very, very important question, not only for the INI-CT, because INI-CT is fond of asking in-depth questions, and nowadays also for NEET and FMG. In the recently FMG paper also it was repeated. An anesthetic circuit suitable for both control assisted ventilation are, see, for control assisted ventilation we have Mapleson B, C, D and E. Okay, control assisted ventilation, not the spontaneous. Spontaneous के लिए we have Mapleson A. See the question, 20-year-old spontaneous breathing patient undergoing incision and drainage. Which of the following is the breathing circulation of choice for spontaneous ventilation? So Mapleson A is the one for this. See, E and F, which are used in the pediatric population, are for both control as well as spontaneous. But among the A, B, C, D, B and C तो obsolete है, which are not used. And A and D में D is the controlled one and A is the spontaneous. So, in the adult, the only thing we use for spontaneous is Mapleson A. Now, I think this can be a very, very potential question. See, for Mapleson A or Mapleson D, how will you differentiate by looking at the equipment? See, if the valve is near to the patient, it is A, and if it is away, it is D. Remember the sequence. A comes before D, so A will be near the patient and D will be away. All the following are the methods for improving oxygenation using a ventilator in the ARDS except. Now, this one is an important question. See, in the ARDS, if you have to improve oxygenation using a ventilator, do not use high frequency ventilator. All other methods are used. Like you can use low tidal volume, high PEEP, extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, prone ventilation. You can also use methods like inverse ratio ventilation, the mechanical ventilation in prone position, or partial liquid ventilation, and the ECMO. But remember, don't use high frequency ventilation. So this is the answer. So just mug this up. Don't go in the details of these questions. Even anesthesia wale are not able to explain it properly. Now next is a patient of head injury is intubated and ventilated. The ideal mode of ventilation in him would be, see, if he is of head injury, he won't be able to do spontaneous breathing because either his brainstem would have been damaged, and because of that the respiratory center might have got damaged, so he won't be able to do spontaneous breathing. So the best for that is the controlled mechanical ventilation, because this is the only one where you forcefully give the patient and go for the controlled breathing. Now, another very good question. A 4-year-old child was intubated while posted for craniotomy. Sudden anesthetic machine started showing bellowing. Next management is, see, bellow means when you're not able to deliver the tidal volume appropriately. And the most common cause for this is the leak in the circuit. So, the most common reason for, when there is a sudden drop in the tidal volume and you're not able to deliver the tidal volume is a leak. So, until unless you find the leak, you won't be able to, correct the mistake. So, the next management is, till you find where the leak is, you go for manual ventilation. And for further, you can read the description. Now, next topic is intraoperative monitoring, from which 17 questions have been asked and more are image based. So see, they're asking you to identify the device shown in the image below. Now, this is an automated external defibrillator, which we use in the BLS for defibrillation. See, you can look at the two pads to attach. Just remember that this is not to be used in less than 8 years and less than 25 kgs patient. And this is very handy, and this is very automated machine, because it just gives you instructions and you just have to follow. So even if you are a layman or you don't have much expertise, then also you can use it. And very important is in the NEET recently, they asked you the definition, the full form of AED, and that was automated, not automatic. What is the frequency of tetanic stimulation used in the neuromuscular monitoring? See, just remember that we do the 3 methods of monitoring of the neuromuscular junctions: the train of 4, the double burst stimulation, and tetany. In train of 4, 2 hertz is given, double burst में 50 hertz, and in tetany में 50 to 200. This is important. So in the question, the nearby option was 50, so this is the answer. Okay, the next is cardiac output can be determined using the following except. See, you can use all the method except capnography. See, capnography will only tell you about the end tidal carbon dioxide. Okay? And certain other conditions like hyperventilation, hyperventilation, all the causes that cause increase, decrease in the CO2. But cardiac output there is no relation with capnography. So just see that these are the methods through which you can detect the cardiac output, like thermodilution, dye dilution, lithium dilution, esophageal Doppler, echocardiography, thoracic bioimpedance, pulse counter devices, these can be asked. Now next question is, what is the most reliable site to measure the core temperature during the general anesthesia? I told you earlier also the pulmonary artery is the best, but the most reliable, which we normally do in practical life, this is not practically done. How will you reach the pulmonary artery in every patient? Maroge thodi na usko. So the best method is actually the distal esophagus. This is the most commonly used, and therefore this is the most reliable one. Go for these words are important. Now look at this, the gold standard site for core is pulmonary artery. Most accurate for brain temperature is tympanic membrane, and the best for the brain is nasopharynx. See, tympanic membrane can easily be reached. Okay? So most accurate this will be the gold standard, and the best would be actually nasopharynx. The best site and most commonly used is actually the lower end of esophagus. The gold standard is pulmonary artery. Now the next is 5-year-old child is undergoing squint surgery with uneventful induction, and the surgeon grabs the medial rectus after the conjunctival incision. Anesthetic look at the cardiac monitoring. For what? See, if you are doing a squint surgery or any other ophthalmic surgeries where you are going to touch or do the intervention to the muscles, okay, there is a chance to stimulate oculocardiac reflex, and this reflex is responsible for sudden bradycardias during the surgery. Okay, so this question was repeated recently, and that is when, see how, I think this was asked in 2003 ke aaspas. Significant anesthetic problem in the morbidly obese patient is decreased cardiac output relative to the total body mass. Then drugs prescribed for the treatment of beta blocker induce excessive bradycardia and decrease in the cardiac output. See, bradycardia and which decrease the cardiac output are calcium chloride, dopamine and glucagon. See, ये तो मैं याद रहता है, but ये याद नहीं रहता. Glucagon is also responsible for that. Sodium nitroprusside infusion may result in major vascular surgeries, can cause cardiac complications. If you're doing cardiac vascular surgeries and sodium nitroprusside you're giving, which is a vasoconstrictor, and also it can cause cyanide toxicity. I told you in the OP section. Most common cause of morbidity and mortality in major vascular surgery is again cardiac complication. Anesthetic drug not used suitable for acute porphyria for intravenous induction is thiopentone. Now this is the only one which actually induces the enzymes, and therefore it is contraindicated in acute intermittent porphyria. So this is the only one where if you have suspected of porphyrias, you will not give. Now, next is during the perioperative period, myocardial ischemia can be detected by most sensitive and practical investigation is 2D transesophageal, because they're asking most sensitive. That is the gold standard. The most commonly used, which is non-invasive, is the precordial Doppler. But for, this one is invasive. But this is most sensitive. This is most commonly used, precordial Doppler. Most common nerve used for monitoring during anesthesia is ulnar nerve. Okay? And in NEET they also showed you that the neuromuscular monitor, that machine that is used to detect it by showing the muscle and the nerve to which it was attached. So see how INI-CT questions, previous year's question, are important for the NEET. Because NEET has become clinical recently, but the INI-CT was clinical based 15 years ago. Now another very different question which can add up to your knowledge. Supra-Mach concentration anesthetic lead shift to the EEG waves from. See, don't keep start digging up these questions and finding out the reasons for it. Just learn this conclusion point, that if the level of anesthesia increases, the Mach will increase, right? Then it will cause EEG depression. EEG depression में the waves are low frequency. See, depression हो रहा है तो frequency हमारी low हो जाती है, so low frequency. ठीक है, so here the pattern in the EEG will go from alpha beta to delta theta, and in delta theta may be delta and then finally theta. So it is alpha, beta and then delta and theta. So theta is the last one, and it also reduces the mean frequency in the SEF. And in case of EEG activation, when the level of anesthesia drops, ठीक है, high frequencies is the sequence, and it actually shifts from delta theta to alpha beta and increases the mean frequency. So when the Mach concentration increases, this will cause EEG depression and it will shift it from alpha beta to theta and delta. Now another question, EEG in the anesthesia is used for. See, EEG is used for measuring the depth of general anesthesia. There are certain other uses of EEG also. See, look, if you are not able to see, I'll read out. Assess the sedation and awareness, monitor the epileptic activity, change in the conscious levels, monitor the depth of anesthesia, and confirm the adequacy of cerebral oxygenation. Next question is, kinemyography is used for monitoring of the neuromuscular function. Now, this question was recently repeated in the NEET. You can go and have a look. A 40-year-old female has to undergo incisional surgery under general anesthesia. She complains of awakened during her past cesarean section. Which of the following monitoring technique can be used to prevent such awareness? So, the monitoring technique is bispectral index monitoring, और इसका criteria होता है कि if it is 100 that means the patient is awake, and if it is 0 that means patient is in deep anesthesia and coma, and if it is 60 to 40 it is general anesthesia. Bispectral index scale is used for monitoring the intraoperative awareness as well as the depth of anesthesia, and it can be based on the principles of EEG and EMG, where for the target sedation is 60 to 80, which is also the range for general anesthesia. Now another very important topic, EEG slowing during the induction of anesthesia is due to. So there are certain factors which increase and decrease the EEG. So see, these are the factors which increase and these are the one which decrease. So the decreased one are late hypoxia, hypothermia, hypercapnia, and drugs like propofol, etomidate, barbiturates, inhalation agents and opioids. And increase में इसका opposite, like early hypoxia, hyperthermia, hypocapnia, and drugs like nitrous oxide and ketamine. So just remember these two, बाकी सारे decrease करेंगे. And very important is EEG can be used to for controlled ventilation, hyperventilation, specifically in surgeries where you have to reduce the intracranial pressure, like neurosurgeries, cerebral perfusions and depth of anesthesia to check. So see, EEG slowing will be because of not ketamine, I told you, nitrous oxide se hoga, early hypoxia नहीं, late hypoxia, because that causes cerebral excitation. जैसे ही थोड़ा सा भी hypoxia होगा, your brain will compensatory get stimulated, and hypothermia will increase it, not decrease. So nitrous oxide and I told you ketamine will reduce. Now another very important topic is capnography. The most number of questions are asked from this section nowadays. See, a patient is undergoing modified radical neck dissection for laryngeal malignancy. While ligating the internal jugular vein, his EtCO2 dropped from 40 to 14 immediately, and the patient developed hypotension along with cardiac arrhythmia. Which of the following is the most likely cause? See, Now this question is not a new question. It was repeated 3 to 4 times earlier. I'll show you. So the answer here is because of the venous air embolism. There is a sudden drop in the EtCO2 and the patient develops hypotension with cardiac arrhythmia. See, sympathetic overactivity से hypertension नहीं होगा, it will increase BP. So this is wrong. Cardiac body stimulation से भी BP will increase not decrease, and vagal stimulation will not reduce EtCO2. It will only cause hypotension but not affect the EtCO2. So this was easy to rule out. See, this question was repeated in 2002. A patient undergoing surgery suddenly developed hypotension with EtCO2 decreasing by 15 mmHg suddenly. Diagnosis is pulmonary embolism. A 55-year-old lady with a known case of thyrotoxicosis, there was a sudden drop in the BP and the end tidal volume decreased to 10 during the surgery. There was a Mill-Wheeler characteristic for air embolism. Flat capnograph seen with, now flat capnographs are seen with accidental extubation or also seen in esophageal intubation and dissociation of anesthetic tube. जब भी ट्यूब आपकी गलत लग जाए या वो लीक कर जाए या फिर उसका एक्सीडेंटली वो पेशेंट बाहर निकाल के फेंक दे या गलत जगह पे आप इंट्यूबेट कर दो तो उसमें फ्लैट कैप्नोग्राफ आता है. इसीलिए हम कहते हैं कि कैप्नोग्राफ इज वेरी गुड मेथड टू डिटेक्ट द एक्यूरेट पोजीशन. Next is a 60-year-old male patient was undergoing laparoscopic cholecystectomy. During the surgery, a sudden drop in the EtCO2 to 8 was noted. His SpO2 became 90 and the blood pressure dropped to 80 by 50. Peak airway pressure was 18. It has actually reduced. See, the BP has suddenly reduced. There is a hypotension and the EtCO2 is also reduced to 8. Okay? And SpO2 is 90. What is the diagnosis? See, air embolism तो हो, CO2 embolism तो होगा. But others में क्या होगा कि इन बाकी सारों में ना पीक एयरवे प्रेशर आपका रिड्यूस नहीं करता है. इट इज ओनली इन द एम्बोलिज्म वेयर योर पीक एयरवे प्रेशर रिड्यूसेस. सो द ओनली आंसर इज 1, not 2, not in severe bronchospasm. And also in the severe bronchospasm, you do not note such a peak fall. What you note is the shark fin wala capnograph. I hope you might be remembering. Next question is the names Brechner and Bethune are associated with end tidal capnography. They can be repeated. An infant with respiratory distress was intubated. The fastest and the accurate method to confirm the intubation is capnography. Now this is an additional point to your capnograph chapter which many institutes miss. A 40-year-old chronic smoker was scheduled for cholecystectomy under general anesthesia. He was induced with propofol and vancomycin and placed on isoflurane. During the procedure, the following capnograph plot was observed. See, double peaks, 2 peaks, 1 peak here, another peak here. So the main reason for it is leak from the expiratory valve. See, bronchospasm में तो ऐसा पीक नहीं आएगा. रीब्रीदिंग वाले में ऐसे 2 पीक्स नहीं आते हैं. And entry into the right sided bronchus में भी नहीं आएगा. तो leak from the expiratory valve is there. See, the reasons are actually biphasic capnograph के unilateral hypoventilation, ठीक है, सिंगल लंग ट्रांसप्लांटेशन, सिवियर काइफोस्कोलियोसिस एंड एयर लीक्स. एयर लीक्स तो आपने पढ़ा होगा बट दीज आर ऑल्सो द एडिशनल पॉइंट्स. Okay, a patient was in surgery when suddenly a resident noticed the following plot on the capnograph. What should be the immediate next step in the management? Now, ऐसा exact question अभी NEET 2021 में या 2022 में रिपीट हुआ था, क्लिनिकल बेस्ड. इसमें थोड़ा कुछ और ऐड किया था उन्होंने. सो बेसिकली ऐसे जो नॉच आती है वो क्रूरारे नॉच होती है एंड दैट इज बिकॉज ऑफ द ड्रॉप इन द मसल रिलैक्सेंट ड्यूरिंग द सर्जरी. सो द नेक्स्ट स्टेप यू विल डू इज यू विल इमीडिएटली इंक्रीज द लेवल ऑफ द मसल रिलैक्सेंट एंड फिर ये नॉच हट जाएगी. Now, a very basic question. You are in the operating room, noticing the tracing in the yellow line on the device. What does it indicate? So this is actually a line for capnograph. Expiration and then inspiration fall. So capnography is the answer. Cardiac output can be determined using which of the following except. See, capnography छोड़ के बाकी everything is used. I told you earlier. Now, next question is oxygen delivery from with 16 question. These are mostly, either flow rates पे होते हैं or on the images, which is not an obvious advantage of high pressure oxygen through nasal cannula. See, the high pressure nasal cannula का जो advantage नहीं होता है ज़्यादा, that is basically decreased need of intubation. ठीक है, rather high flow nasal cannula actually delay and they increase the need for intubation. And reduces the nasopharyngeal dead space definitely, because more flow say oxygen is delivered. Then PEEP is also increased. Maintenance of PEEP is also one of the major factor because oxygen is given at a high flow rate and heating and humidification is the main advantage. Next is which is not an obvious advantage of high pressure. See again, decreased need of intubation. See, now these I have clubbed together because this was asked earlier and this was asked now recently. The maximum oxygen flow rate which can be kept with a conventional oxygen mask is maximum is 2 to 10 होता है, तो 10 is the maximum. In conventional oxygen therapy, which device will deliver highest FiO2? See, highest जो होता है वो practically 100% होती है, and that is by non-rebreathing mask, the Venturi mask. And these are the one which would, if you had been there during the time of COVID, these were the masks that were used. And this is the mask. See, this is the reservoir bag. Now, these are certain other images. Now, this image was asked in the NEET recently, and this was also asked. So, this is a nasal cannula. See, very prongs are there, and this is a common mask. This is Hudson's mask. Now, next question, a 42-year-old male was under home isolation after testing positive for COVID-19, develops breathing difficulty and is brought to emergency. Patient is alert and responsive, but he's breathing rapidly. SpO2 was 86. He administered oxygen via face mask with reservoir bag with a flow rate of 10. After a trial of 1 hour, his SpO2 is 88%, which is the next step of management. See, SpO2 बढ़ रहा है, but इतना नहीं बढ़ रहा है जितना बढ़ना चाहिए. So, next step आप ये नहीं है कि वेंटिलेट कर दोगे पेशेंट को, वो बहुत ही ड्रास्टिक स्टेप होता है. नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज कि आप हाई स्पीड पे ऑक्सीजन दोगे क्योंकि कुछ तो फर्क पड़ रहा है. सो हाई फ्लो नीजल कैनुला इज देयर. सी जस्ट रिमेंबर दिस टेबल दैट इफ देयर इज अ लो SpO2 लेस देन 90%, आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर कि हम ऑक्सीजन सप्लीमेंटल ऑक्सीजन देते हैं. सो द फर्स्ट स्टेप यू विल स्टार्ट इज विद रीब्रीदिंग मास्क. ठीक है, अगर SpO2 डिटोरिएट करती है आफ्टर 1 आवर तो नेक्स्ट स्टेप इज यू इंटूबेट द पेशेंट. अगर डेटोरिएट करती है अगर इस पेशेंट में अगर 86 से इट वुड हैव बीन 80 और 84, देन यू वुड हैव इंटूबेटेड इट. But if the SpO2 is improving slightly, like in this case, you will go for a high flow nasal cannula because here the flow rate is very high, 60 liters per minute के आसपास होती है. And if SpO2 improves drastically, you will continue the mask. Now, what is this machine? This is basically high flow nasal cannula. So, यहाँ पे cannula वाला part है और इधर ये humidifier वाला part है. So, this is a high flow nasal cannula and these are actually I have put because these are given in the question. See, this is a CPAP machine और ये इन्फ्यूजन पंप होता है. कैसे आइडेंटिफाई करोगे? इसमें देखो बड़ी सी सिरिंज है, ठीक है, ये एक इन्फ्यूजन सा पंप है. नाउ सम वन लाइनर. ऑक्सीजनेटर प्रोड्यूसिंग लीस्ट डैमेज टू द ब्लड एलिमेंट्स इज मेम्ब्रेन ऑक्सीजनेटर. ठीक है, ये लीस्ट डैमेज कॉज करता है. ट्रेंडलेनबर्ग्स पोजीशन प्रोड्यूसेस डिक्रीज इन. जब आप ऐसे होता है ना हेड एंड नीचे और वो वाला ऊपर, ठीक है, तो इट विल एक्चुअली डिक्रीज योर कंप्लायंस, योर फंक्शनल रेजिडुअल कैपेसिटी एंड वाइटल कैपेसिटी. नो, ये क्वेश्चन इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि ये रिपीट हुआ था अभी. सो इट विल रिड्यूस इट. So this position is going to actually reduce all your findings. The physiological dead space is increased in emphysema, पॉजिटिव प्रेशर वेंटिलेशन. हाँ, अगर आप पॉजिटिव प्रेशर वेंटिलेशन दे रहे हो ना जैसे ये CPAP टाइप के, ठीक है, तो इन कंडीशंस में योर डेड स्पेस विल इंक्रीज. ठीक है, एंड अपराइट पोजीशन, खड़े रहने पे भी आपकी डेड स्पेस बढ़ती है. डिवाइस प्रोवाइडिंग फिक्स्ड परफॉर्मेंस ऑक्सीजन थेरेपीज. सी फिक्स्ड, द फिक्स्ड वाला जो है दैट इज ओनली वेंचुरी मास्क. Only instruments among the oxygen delivery equipments that has fixed performance is Venturi mask. All other are constant, variable ones. Side effect of oxygen therapy are they are going to cause atelectasia, decrease vital capacity and endothelial damage. They can be toxic also. Oxygen is given very high. Dead space is increased in standing. ठीक है, हाइपर एक्सटेंशन आई टोल्ड यू ना, ऊपर दिया था ऑन अपराइट पोजीशन. हाइपर एक्सटेंशन से और एंटीकोलिनर्जिक ड्रग्स से. ओके, नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज मसल रिलैक्सेंस. अब इसमें से 34 क्वेश्चन आर आस्क्ड, बट एज आई टोल्ड यू अर्लियर दीज यूज्ड टू बी आस्क्ड अर्लियर. ठीक है, नाउ डेज दे आर शिफ्टिंग मोर टुवर्ड्स अदर टॉपिक्स. सो इफ यू वांट टू स्किप this topic from your notes, that is completely fine, but एक बार just have a glance through these questions, because इन्हीं questions को बार बार repeat करके they keep on asking. So the first question is, all are the drugs acting on the neuromuscular junction except. So this is dantrolene. See, बाकी सारे will act on the neuromuscular junction. Which of the following drugs undergo Hoffman's elimination? That is, not passing through liver, not passing through kidney. पता नहीं भगवान जाने कौन सा elimination है ये. So that is एट्रा and सिसेट्रा. और इसीलिए इन दोनों ड्रग्स को भी प्रेफर इन लिवर एंड किडनी फेलियर्स में. सो दिस इज द आंसर. एलर्जी इन इमीडिएट पेरी ऑपरेटिव पीरियड इज ड्यू टू. सी, एलर्जी सबसे ज़्यादा न्यूरोमस्कुलर ब्लॉकेज से होती है, फिर एंटीबायोटिक्स से होती है, एंड फिर उसके बाद में मसल रिलैक्सेंस से होती है. सी सम प्लेटफॉर्म माइट बी टीचिंग कि एंटीबायोटिक्स से सबसे मैक्सिमम होती है, नो, न्यूरोमस्कुलर ब्लॉकर से होती है सबसे ज़्यादा. Now, muscle relaxant causing increase in the intracranial pressure is succinylcholine, which we also known as succinylcholine or scoline. Succinylcholine is contraindicated in cerebral strokes, closed head injuries and tetanus. See, I'll give you a mnemonic for all the contraindications of succinylcholine abhi niche. The child is developing progressive weakness of both legs with a history of brother dying at the age of 15 years. Anesthetic drugs not given to him for examination of eye under anesthesia is succinylcholine. True about vecuronium is has short duration of action, has high lipophilic activity, and dose adjustment is not required in usual doses in kidney disease. So that is not required. Just mug up these points because these are only asked repeatedly. The muscle relaxant of choice for neonates for portoenterostomy of biliary atresia is etracuronium. Muscle relaxant used for endotracheal intubation that may lead to cardiac arrest in young patient who has extensive soft tissue and muscle injury. Okay, that can result into cardiac arrest is succinylcholine. Dysarrhythmia, conduction abnormalities and cardiac arrest in paraplegic patient following succinylcholine administration is due to hyperkalemia. Right. Mechanism of neuromuscular blockage action of curare is competitive inhibition. ये तो you might have been taught ना, very easy. Muscle relaxant of choice in a patient with a history of hypersensitivity to neostigmine for LSCS is under GA is etracurium. ठीक है. Drugs eliminated by kidney are PPV, pancuronium, pipecuronium, vecuronium. Bradycardia is common after succinylcholine. ठीक है. Muscle relaxant of choice in hepatic and renal failure, I told you, the one which undergoes Hoffman's elimination, etc. Seen in malignant hyperthermia is hypertension, hyperkalemia and metabolic acidosis and respiratory acidosis. So BP बढ़ जाएगा, पोटेशियम बढ़ जाएगा और एसिडोसिस हो जाएंगे, बोथ मेटाबॉलिक एंड रेस्पिरेटरी इन malignant hyperthermia. Shortest acting non-depolarizing muscle relaxant are gentacurium, mevacurium and rapacuronium. Anesthesia of choice in a child with bladder exostrophy and chronic renal failure is etracurium. Drugs causing malignant hyperthermia is succinylcholine. That is the most common one. See, these are the drugs which actually are the triggering agents for malignant hyperthermia. The most common is succinylcholine and the most common inhalational agent is halothane. Now, on these only the most majority of the times on malignant hyperthermia questions are asked. And then you can also mark lignocaine, MAO inhibitors and TCA and halogenated anesthetics. But remember succinylcholine and anesthesia from the anesthesia point of view. So succinylcholine will be the answer. Drug causing malignant hyperthermia will be this. Now tuberculare affects which muscles first? See, head and neck facial muscles ko it affects first. So head and neck is the answer. An eye surgeon was performing using propofol and intravenous and succinylcholine as a muscle relaxant. Recovery from anesthesia was uneventful. However, after 8 hours of surgery, patient complained of pain in the legs on walking. Which of the following is most likely the reason? See, the reason is actually injection of succinylcholine because that causes fasciculations during induction and that is its most common side effect, resulting into the pain in the calves. Muscle relaxant that can be used in patients with high serum bilirubin and serum creatinine, see kidney and renal failure, it's etracurium or cis-etracurium. Succinylcholine is available as a clear odorless aqueous solution. The shelf life is 2 years. Dose of which of the following muscle relaxant has to be calculated on the basis of total body weight of the obese person rather than its ideal weight. The total body weight pe the only drug which is measured is etracurium. A 10-year-old child is undergoing squint surgery. He developed increased heart rate, arrhythmias and high fever, metabolic and respiratory acidosis, and there was an elevation of the end-tidal CO2 also. Which of the following would be the first agent of choice in the management of this condition? See, this is a classical case of malignant hyperthermia. See, if you might have read in the capnography कि अगर gradual increase in the CO2 होता है तो फिर वो malignant hyperthermia indicate करता है, plus there is a high fever also. So dantrolene is the drug of choice for malignant hyperthermia. Now cis-etracurium is preferred over etracurium due to the advantage of, because etracurium and vancuronium are responsible for histamine release. Okay, so they are contraindicated in asthma. So cis-etracurium do not cause any histamine release. So no atracurium, histamine released from etc. So this is the preferred. Then laudonosine is a metabolite of atracurium, and that is why this can actually cause seizures. So this is also one of the reasons that cis atra is preferred, because this does not cause laudonosine formation. So see, contraindication of succinylcholine, I told you, I will tell you because a number of questions has been asked. So now the basically the mnemonic is HMT, press, and then Gurgaon. ठीक है. So head injuries, hyperkalemia, hemiplegia, muscular dystrophy, metabolic acidosis, tetanus and trauma, paraplegia, renal failure, eye injury, shock, spinal cord injuries, glaucomas and Guillain-Barré. Just mug up these points, very important, because this has been asked in NEET also. Then succinylcholine से बहुत question पूछे जाते हैं. Now this is the topic from which induction agents and general anesthetics, from which number of questions are most, but इतने they're not asked nowadays much. So you can if you want to skip something in anesthesia, skip the pharmacotherapy section. Which of the following can be used as an intravenous induction agent? So lorazepam, the preferred one is actually midazolam, okay, but the benzodiazepine, and but the option here was lorazepam, so this is right. Okay, now this question has been repeated in the INI-CT and also in the NEET also. पता नहीं क्यों पूछते हैं ऐसा. Glycopyrrolate is used as a pre-anesthetic agent. See, why? Because it reduces the secretion. Anticholinergic है. The preferred is glycopyrrolate, and if not available, then atropine. Pre-anesthetic में. Now, a pregnant woman with placenta previa started to bleed as she went into labor. Her blood pressure was very low, 80/50. Low segment cesarean section was planned in the view of acute shock. What type of anesthesia would be planned for this patient? देखो, generally we give spinal, and in certain sections we have to give epidural. I told you in the ops section. But in such cases, if you have to plan, then you always prefer general anesthesia with induction of ketamine, because ketamine is safest in cardiac conditions or in case of shock, because ये सबसे cardiac stable होती है. This is the most cardiac stable. So general anesthesia with this. Don't mark this propofol. Propofol is, it does not, it cause actually abnormalities in the cardiac condition. Just go through the explanation. Anesthesia of technique of choice in LSCS in women with coarctation is general anesthesia. This is what you prefer अगर कोई heart condition होती है. Induction agent of choice for corrective surgery for cyanotic heart disease in 5-year-old child is ketamine. Cardiac stable. Now correct sequence of age and MAC required is. Now see, this is the relation. MAC is high at the time of birth, but it becomes maximum in at 1 month. So the sequence here would be, it would be infant, then neonate and adult. Inhalational agent contraindicated in a patient with a history of epilepsy. I told you epilepsy, enflurane. 100% oxygen is administered after nitrous oxide is discontinued in the emergence of anesthesia. I told you earlier also, see how it was repeated in 2017. Diffusional hypoxia. Now, this was also a good question. See, propofol actually is avoided in a patient with egg allergy because, it is made up of, egg lecithin and egg, other oil-based preparations from the egg. So, it can cause egg allergies. Then, fentanyl actually causes rigid chest syndrome. Midazolam causes dissociative anesthesia, and nitrous oxide causes pulmonary vasoconstriction. It reduces the pulmonary vascular resistance. Inhalational anesthetic agents with rapid induction of anesthesia is desflurane. Inhaled, I told you, desflurane is the one which has the highest vapor pressure. Inhaled gases that decreases the pulmonary artery pressure in adults and infant is nitrous oxide. Okay. So, this question was asked recently, I think in 2022 May. But this question was actually, asked in 2013-14 twice. Action of proparacaine starts within 2 minutes. The action starts within 2 minutes and the duration of action is 20 minutes. Right? So, 2 and 20. And so the asked day is duration and 20. So this is, this is how they. Now factors decreasing the MAC of an inhalational drugs are, see I told you, decreasing ones. The decreasing ones are the anemia, hypoxia. Anemia, that is also chronic. Anemia will cause late hypoxia, right? Then hyponatremia and hypothermia. I told you, hypothermia will decrease it and hyper will increase. The factors increasing the MAC are, increasing the MAC, hyperthermia. So these makes the drug less potent. Hyperthermia more than 42, young age, maximum at 6 months. I showed you the table, right? Chronic alcohol abuse and cocaine, chronic, and acute amphetamine use and hypernatremia, and also certain drugs I showed. Just remember one point, thyroid levels will have no effect on the MAC. Now that question was asked in the NEET. Pin index system in anesthetic machines prevents incorrect gas cylinder attachment. The pin index number for nitrous oxide is 3:5. See, for air it is 1:5, for oxygen it is 2:5, and nitrous oxide it is 3:5. Cardiovascular monitoring techniques are, see, central venous pressure monitoring, pulmonary artery catheterization, and transesophageal echocardiography. See, this was repeated. True about ketamine is, it is a direct cardiac depressant, may induce cardiac dysrhythmias in patients receiving TCA and emergence phenomena. Anesthesia of technique of choice in LSCS in a woman with coarctation of aorta is general anesthesia. So repeat. And in cyanotic, ketamine. A 6-month-old child is suffering from PDA with congestive heart failure. Inhalational induction agent of choice for ligation of ductus arteriosus is sevoflurane. Because it is sweet smelling, it increases the BP and increases the cardiac output. And we have to increase the cardiac output in congestive cardiac failures. So this is a drug of choice. The anesthetic drug not suitable in acute porphyria, thiopentone. Anesthetic drugs not given in a 2-month-old infant undergoing surgery for biliary atresia is halothane. Hepatotoxic, I told you, no? Anesthetic drug causing adrenal suppression, the one which causes adrenal crisis. Only drug is etomidate. I hope if you have read your basic notes, then you might be able to answer majority of the question. A patient complains of severe pain after thoracotomy. Treatment is severe pain. This is fentanyl or drugs like propofol also causes pain, and that is why it is not preferred in children. Inhalation agent preferred in patients with liver compromise after surgery or for mitral stenosis. See, एक तो cardiac भी और एक liver compromise भी, then it is xenon. In the options, the xenon was the most preferred one. Volatility of anesthetic agent is directly proportional to lowering the flow in the portal vein. The portal vein flow is maximally reduced by halothane. I told you, hepatotoxic, so that will reduce the portal vein flow. Induction agent producing cardiac stability is etomidate. Yes. And also ketamine also produces, that is also cardiac stable, and that is why it is preferred in many drugs. Which of the following is contraindicated in an epileptic patient posted for general anesthesia? See, epileptic patient hai, but enflurane is not the option, so the answer here would be ketamine, because that is also contraindicated in the epilepsy. So ketamine is cardiac stable but epileptic hai. Why? Because ek to it is epileptic, and second, it also increases the need for metabolic oxygen demand of the brain, and also increases the intracranial pressure, and therefore these are not preferred in neurosurgery patients or in the surgeries where ICP is raised. On doing laparoscopic cholecystectomy, patient developed wheezing. Which of the following is used in the treatment? See, patient develops wheezing. The most common cause of asthmatic attack is actually the reduction in the plane of anesthesia. So we need to deepen the plane of anesthesia. So you first try to deepen the plane, and if it is not, then you can give is beta agonist administration during the surgery. Induction of inhalational agent is faster with agent with high blood gas solubility. So you all might be knowing, if a drug is potent, it is only because it has low solubility in the blood and it is more lipid soluble, so that it is easily able to come out into the target areas. Okay, so if a agent has a high blood gas coefficient, that means it is more blood soluble, so its metabolism would be fast, its MAC would be higher, but its potency would be low. So this is wrong. A combined with nitrous oxide, nitrous oxide is a carrier gas and it has something known as double gas effect. Read this out. Person with increased residual volume. See, not persons with increased residual volume, because increased residual volume will increase the MAC and that will reduce the potency. And right to left shunt. See, if there will be right to left shunt, the drug will be more going into the systemic circulation, and not the blood will not be flowing to the pulmonary areas, and therefore the drug will not be absorbed more. I think this is an explanation of one of the questions where it says that Medetomidine is contraindicated in hypovolemia, hypotension, heart blocks, and congestive heart failure. Its side effects are similar to that of clonidine. The question is the plane of surgical anesthesia during the ether anesthesia. See, ether was the first anesthetic agent that was discovered. So, sometimes they ask questions like from onset of regular respiration to cessation of spontaneous breathing. So that is the plane of surgical anesthesia. From start of your regular respiration to spontaneous breathing. Which of the following drugs does not affect the absorption and secretion of cerebrospinal fluid? Nitrous oxide. That is why it is preferred. But it is a carrier gas. Which of the following intravenous anesthetic agent is contraindicated in epileptic patient posted? See, I told you earlier, ketamine, enflurane. But if that is not the answer, then ketamine. Okay, now this is actually the areas where ketamine is contraindicated, because it increases the ICPs and also cause deliriums and hallucinations. So contraindicated areas like head injuries, intracranial space occupying lesions, or eye injuries, because they increase the ICT and IOT, and also they increase the metabolic oxygen demand of the brain. Second, ischemic heart diseases, vascular aneurysm and hypertension, increase myocardial oxygen demand and hypertension. And psychiatric diseases and drug addicts, more incidences of hallucinations and emergence reaction. So these are the three areas, it increases ICT, IOT, it increases the oxygen demand, and also causes hallucination and emergence reaction. So these are the areas where ketamine is contraindicated. Midazolam causes all the following. See, midazolam is not going to cause retrograde amnesia. Can cause enterograde amnesia, tachyphylaxis with high doses, and decreased cardiovascular effect as compared to propofol. Which of the following is true about hypothermia? See, hypothermia, small amount is good, but if it is more, then it can be bad for the patient. So it is not at all beneficial to the patient. See, they're asking the true statement. Prevented by giving warm fluids. Definitely, if it is hypothermia, then if you give anything warm, it is going to help. Body loses heat mainly by conduction? No, by radiation. See, radiation is the most common method. Always occur irrespective of the type of anesthesia. No, it depends on the type of anesthesia, the mode of my... A patient posted for surgery has raised intracranial tension. Which of the following anesthetics would be preferred to him? Isoflurane. See, iso is like, something which is very not so affecting the cranial pressures. So the following intravenous anesthetic agent is contraindicated in epileptic patients. See how many times this has been repeated. Most potent analgesic agent among the following is nitrous oxide. Most potent they are asking. पोटेंट मतलब है कि लीस्ट एमएक होगा इसमें से. तो नाइट्रस ऑक्साइड का होता है. बाकी तो सारी रूल आउट. नाइट्रिक ऑक्साइड, ऑक्सीजन, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, ये नॉर्मल गैसेस हैं, तो वो एनाल्जेसिक एजेंट ही नहीं है. A patient presented with blunt trauma to the abdomen, his pulse is high, BP is 80-50, scheduled to undergo emergency laparotomy, which is the anesthetic of choice. So basically, here the BP is very low, so you want to increase the BP, so you'll use ketamine, and that has actually it increases the sympathetic activity. A 32-year-old male with no past cardiac history is brought to the emergency department after being injured in the bomb blast. On examination, they have splenic injury and emergency laparotomy is supposed to go. The following is the ideal anesthetic of choice. See, etomidate is ideal because it is cardiac stable. Okay, I think I have told you somewhere above that ketamine is cardiac stable. No, it is not that cardiac stable. It increases the sympathetic activity. So, just correct it. Which of the following is not true about the Xenon anesthesia? See, I told you Xenon is somewhere whose MAC is also high, so it has less potency. So it has basically high blood solubility, so it is not that ultra fast and ultra rapid. So it has slow induction and slow. Okay. Okay, it is ultra fast and ultra rapid, because it is high blood soluble, so it will be easily be metabolized. So it will have quick onset and then it will quickly be metabolized, and therefore will be ultra rapid also. So this is wrong. Non-explosive, not true they're asking. So answer is this. It is non-explosive. It has... Okay, my fault. See, Xenon has actually low blood gas solubility. Okay, and this I have written that high blood soluble gases are actually have ultra fast and ultra rapid mechanism. So Xenon has slow induction and slow recovery. Which of the following combination can be used in the daycare surgery? See, there is a big table of which modes and which drugs are indicated in day care surgery. So the answer is remifentanil, midazolam and propofol. Okay, the next topic is local anesthetics. 23 questions have been asked. Nerve fiber least susceptible to local anesthetics is, see, I hope you might be remembering, the least susceptible, these are unmyelinated and thinnest, but these are least susceptible. So actually these are the, or A may be, okay, maximum susceptible are A gamma, and then A delta. So C is the least susceptible. Which anesthetic agent can cause pain on IV induction is propofol, and that is why this is not preferred nowadays. A patient with history of coronary artery disease, presents with pulse of 48 and low BP. Patient has decreased myocardial contractility on echo. Which of these anesthetic agent is contraindicated? So I told you above, the dexmedetomidine cause hypovolemia and hypotension. See, ketamine I told you causes sympathetic stimulation, okay? Or etomidate is cardiac stable, and that also increases it, okay? But this actually reduces it. Okay, I think this is a repeat question, so the answer is this 20, the duration they're asking. So the action start in 2 minutes and duration is 20 minutes. Which is the nerve blocked in the following local anesthetic technique? See, this is the nasociliary nerve which is being blocked. This is the passage here. What is the mechanism of action of local anesthetics? See, this is very easy question. It blocks sodium channel. Don't say sodium potassium ATPase channel. No, not at all. Only sodium channel को block करते हैं ये. During resuscitation, a patient received 20% intralipid injection. What could have been the most probable diagnosis? See, some inducing agents and anesthetic agents actually causes a side effect known as local anesthetic toxicity, because they are highly lipid soluble. So they go into the organs, which have more lipid content, like, the heart or the liver. So these are the areas where they go and they cause toxicity there. That is known as local anesthetic toxicity. So, most probably the drug is actually bupivacaine, because that has the maximum lipid solubility and it easily goes into the heart and causes toxicity there and can be very dangerous. So we inject, the only treatment there is to inject 20% intralipid injection. No other drug will work there. Okay, so the most probable diagnosis is local anesthetic toxicity and the most common drug is bupivacaine. Epidural anesthesia with lignocaine with adrenaline was given for hernia surgery, but patient developed hypotension and respiratory depression within 3 minutes after the block. The most common cause is drug has entered the subarachnoid space. If it enters in this area, it will easily spread and will cause depression of the centers. A surgeon decides to operate a patient under the epidural anesthesia. 3% xylocaine with adrenaline was given during epidural anesthesia. The patient suddenly develops hypotension after 3 minutes, most likely causes penetration into the subarachnoid space. See, female labor with cardiac condition or hypertension do not give epidural and spinal anesthesia. The most common method is general anesthesia. I told you, with ketamine as an agent of choice. Which of the following local anesthetics cause hypertension? Local anesthetics causing hypertension. So cocaine. See, this is important. See, all the local anesthetics at high and normal dose cause cardiac depression. ये decrease करते हैं high या normal dose पे, but at a very very low dose they cause vasoconstriction. But cocaine at all the doses, all will cause increase in the BP and vasoconstriction. So it will show this effect at all the levels. Local anesthetic causing methemoglobinemia is prilocaine followed by benzocaine. Local anesthetic topically used are cocaine, dubicaine and lignocaine. Amide-linked local anesthetics are iditocaine, lidocaine, prilocaine. I think you might be knowing this classification. Esters and amides. Local anesthetic producing allergic reactions are benzocaine. The one which produce allergic reaction, benzocaine. Local anesthetic not used for intravenous regional anesthesia for left trigger finger in adult lady is bupivacaine. Highly cardiotoxic is bupivacaine because it is highly lipid soluble. Local anesthetic first used clinically was cocaine. Now it has become more of a drug of abuse. All are true about the lidocaine except it acts on the sodium channel in both active and inactive. See, all of them act by blocking the sodium channel. It is most cardiotoxic. I just now told you bupivacaine is the most cardiotoxic because it is highly lipid soluble. So this statement is wrong and this is the answer. It is given IV in the lidocaine is given IV in the cardiac arrhythmia is correct. Extensive first pass metabolism correct. Maximum dose of lignocaine with adrenaline for local blocks in ophthalmic surgeries. See, the concentration of lignocaine for regional anesthesia is, if you have to give IV regional anesthesia, IV, तो सबसे minimum dose होगा ना 0.5. Now, if you have to give topical, it is 4%. If you have to give spinal, it is 5. See, it is more. So don't think that topical वाली सबसे कम होगी. No, spinal anesthesia is 5% and ophthalmic surgeries में 7%. So just remember, topical वाला is at 4% and the maximum dose given here is in ophthalmic surgeries. Now, few small topics are remaining. So these are spinal anesthesia. 11 questions have been asked. Sensory block for the lower segment cesarean section is given at. See, if you want to remember that, in surgery, sensory block is given at T4, during the cesarean section specifically. So it causes autonomic block 2 levels above and it causes motor loss 2 levels below. So, if you want to block all kinds of pain sensation, for which majorly we give the anesthetics, that is for pain relief. So this is at T4 level. So here somatic plus pain due to the peritoneal manipulations is lost. Peritoneal manipulation is answer here would be T4 because they asked the sensory. If they would have asked motor, then it would have been T6. Management of hypotension following spinal subarachnoid block is infusion of 1 liter of ringer lactate before the block. Okay, for hypotension. Vasopressor drugs like methoxamine and inotropic drugs like dopamine. Most common complication of celiac plexus block is hypotension. Lower limb का vasodilation cause करता है celiac. इसका सबसे common side effect is, which of the following is not a contraindication for neuraxial block? See, just 3 indication. If the platelet count is less than 80, if there is marked coagulopathy or blood dyskaryosis, okay, or there is a marked skin sepsis or marked spinal deformity. These are the 2 absolute. This one is a relative one. So the here answer would be patient on the antihypertensive medication. This has no relation with the neuraxial block. This can be given. Now, effective strategies to decrease the risk of post-puncture dural headaches are all except. Now, I think this you would be able to answer if you have seen the first video, that instruments wala, where I told you, there was a table that I showed you from the Harrison, where I told you certain effective strategies and certain non-effective strategies which we follow but they are not found to be effective. So, usme supplementation of fluid has no role. See, I told you small bore needles, atraumatic needles, other than the Whittaker, I think the Whittaker one, and replacement of the stylet prior to removal, they causes, they decreases the post-dural headaches, but not this one. So go back to that video if you have not seen that and revise. Next question, in all pregnant female there is a decreased requirement of spinal anesthetic agents because all of the following except. Now, I think actually this question was asked because in AIIMS they did thesis किया था उन्होंने and their publish किया था paper and therefore they asked this question. So in a pregnant female there is a decreased requirement of spinal anesthesia because because of the decreased volume of subarachnoid space, engorgement of the epidural vein, increased sensitivity of the nerves to the anesthetic agent. They all reduce the dose in the pregnancy. Okay, and this is because of the progesterone, but exaggerated lumbar lordosis has no effect. A 26-year-old primary gravida with severe rheumatic heart disease, that is mitral stenosis, was in early labor. The obstetrics wants to try a normal labor. Which of the following is the ideal intervention for labor analgesia? See, neuraxial anesthesia or the epidural analgesia can be given. Spinal you will not at all given. Parenteral opioids will not at all give. Inhalational analgesic will not at all give. See, preferred is GA. Preferred is GA, but if not in the option, then mark epidural. Spinal you will not at all give. Now, this topic is actually a favorite topic of NEET, जिसमें से they are definitely going to ask you 1 or 2 questions, right? So, if you are only preparing for the NEET, focus only on this topic, on your priority. INICET में nowadays they have started asking questions from this. See, what is the correct sequences? See, first assess the patient's response. You are going to tap on the shoulder and ask for whether the person is awake or not by shouting on the person. And then activate the ERS, that is call for help. Then you check his carotid pulse and the breathing and then start the CPR. So don't answer, सबसे पहले हम जाके CPR करेंगे. No, first you will check the response, then you'll call for help and then you'll check the carotid and the breathing, and then you'll do the CPR. So this is the correct sequence, and this is repeated. See, such a basic questions they're asking. Then on your morning walk in the park, you notice an unconscious man lying on the ground. Which of the following options would be the next best step? See, if he is an unconscious patient, you'll first call for help. Okay, then you'll check the pulse, do the CPR, and then defibrillate if no pulse. Which of the following can be considered as an effective CPR? See, the respiratory rate should be 1 in every 6, right? Not 20 to 20 breaths per minute, 1 in every 6 minutes. Okay, chest compression should be at least 100 to 120 per minute, and that is why we give 30:2. Allow complete chest recoil. Yes, you don't have to lean on the patients. You have to allow the chest to recoil once you have given one compression. And then at least 5 to 6 centimeters depression, that is 2 to 2.4 inches, has to be the compression. And therefore this is the answer. So this is wrong. This is in the kids that has to be given. A police has brought an unresponsive patient to you. Which is the first thing you will do? See, don't answer or mark here, we will call for help. You're already a help for him, na? So, the first thing you're going to do is check the carotid pulse. Because, the police or the person has already checked for the response and called for the help. You are the help here. Majority people marked this as the answer. Because, they were taught that the sequence is so wrong. What is the ratio of the chest compressions and breaths when a lone person is giving cardiopulmonary resuscitation? 30:2. This is very easy. Lone person mein. Unconscious child is brought to the casualty. What is the correct sequence of the management? See, I told you first you will assess the response. Then you're going to then you're going to call for the help. Then you're going to assess the breathing. You're going to actually assess for the pulse first and then breathing. And then you'll start the compression, and then you will put bag and mask ventilation when you're trying to intubate it. Now, American Health Association 2010 guidelines, which of the following drugs is not used in the CPR? So, atropine is not used in the CPR ke time pe. I'm not saying intubation. Intubation mein we will use to reduce the secretions. But in CPR, this is the drug which is not preferred. A woman is posted for elective cholecystectomy. Her airway assessment is normal. In the operating room, she was attached to monitor and antibiotic was administered. Suddenly, she became pulseless and unresponsive. What should be the next step in her management? See, will you check for breathing? यार वो already airway assessment पे है, ठीक है? You will do the chest compression ना. She is becoming pulseless, ठीक है? So you will do chest compression. The first thing you do is CPR. You call ambulance. हॉस्पिटल में ही है. Why would you call the ambulance? Give 2 breaths. First you do CPR, chest compression दोगे, and then that will be followed by breathing. Check तो कर चुके ना. Now next topic is pre-op, जिसमें से nowadays they are asking more questions. The 50-year-old male patient has grade 3 ASA. Whether the following bronchodilator pulmonary function test findings requires further evaluation of the lung functions of the patient. See, the gold criteria for the COPD, I think you will read it in the medicine, that FeV1 is to FV ratio should be less than 0.7, right? And then it should be followed by these according to the category. So if it is mild, the FeV1 should be more than 80, and if it is very severe, it should be less than 30, and if it is moderate, it should be between 50 to 80. And this was what was asked. See, he is grade 3, so he is basically moderate, so it will be this. FeV1 less than 0.8 and FeV1 is to FVC is 0.7. Which of the following is most commonly used as a pre-anesthetic medication? See, pre-anesthetic medication. Atropine, reduce the secretions. I told you earlier also. A patient with hypertension under controlled medication falls under which grade? Now this grading is important nowadays. Now they're asking it in the NEET also. See, a patient with mild systemic disease who is well controlled on diabetes and hypertension is grade 2. With severe systemic disease is the one who is poorly controlled, but he has a history of for more than 3 months. If he has recently developed a history of MI or TIA and all these, then he is severe systemic disease that is a constant threat of life. And the one who is not expected to survive are the one who developed ruptured aortic aneurysm, massive trauma or intracranial bleed. So remember the 2, 3 and 4. This is confusing. Now next topic is post-op. Which of the following is not a risk factor for the post-operative pulmonary complication? See, very easy. If person is well controlled asthma, then why would he be a risk factor? Yeah, BMI. Look at the other option, no? Age 70, very extreme. Upper abdominal surgery, very close to the heart and thorax. BMI more than 30. These are common sense questions. Sometimes you have to apply your common sense also. Risk factors for the post-operative pulmonary complication are age more than 70, COPD uncontrolled. If the surgeries are close to brain, abdomen, thorax, or upper abdomen. Prolonged procedures of more than 2 years, general anesthesia with intubation. So that is also risk factor. BMI more than 30, albumin concentration less than 35 gram per liter, and inability to walk 2 blocks, यानी कि MAC less than 4 है उसका. What is the most common cause of hospital admission after daycare surgery? Now see, this question was a bit confusing because different platforms gave different answer. See, even Love and Bailey gives different kinds of answer. It mentions this also, and this also. But if this is repeated now, you will mark this as an answer, because in AIIMS faculties say that this is the most common cause. So this is the answer. Now the most common rhythm disturbances during early post-operative periods are tachycardia, not brady. It's tachy. The outcome following resuscitation of a cardiac arrest is worsened if during the resuscitation patient is given 5% X-dose. So अगर 5% X-dose होगी तो it will poor. The most common cause of post-operative renal failure is decreased renal perfusion. Now this is a small topic. This may be 7 questions have been asked only. How long should elective surgery be deferred for a patient who had cough and fever after he has recovered from COVID-19 and had not required any hospitalization? See, अभी COVID में these guidelines came that if the patient is asymptomatic patient है who had only mild symptoms and कोई respiratory symptom नहीं था तो only 4 weeks के लिए we will delay. ठीक है. Symptomatic patients में who did not require hospitalization 6 weeks. ठीक है. Symptomatic patients who were hospitalized 8 to 10 weeks and those who were admitted in the ICU settings there will be 12 weeks. ठीक है. तो 4, 6, 8 and 12. So the answer here would be 6. Because he did not require any hospitalization but he had cough and fever. Now a 60-year-old hypertensive patient on losartan is posted for hernia repair. Losartan should be continued till the day of the surgery. See, this is a list of the drugs for which how much you will delay until when it can be given. So you can look at this table because questions are asked in the NEET here. You can pause the video and look at these. See, steroids may we can continue, but there are 3 contraindications like diabetes, active infections, and immunodeficiency. So again, now this is also important because recently a question was asked on this. If you are doing coronary stenting and you are using bare metal stents, you have to provide a gap of at least 1 month before the elective surgery. Now if you are using medicated stents, at least a gap of 365. The DES, if you are using 365, it has to be given minimum 180 days though, but ideal is you give 365 days. Now next is a lithium potentiate the action of non-depolarizing muscle relaxant. How many days before administering the muscle relaxant should the lithium be stopped? So lithium should be stopped 24 to 48 hours before. So 2 days is the answer. See, earlier they used to ask questions from this topic. Nowadays they are not trying to ask the question. So see, shift the patient from oral hypoglycemic to insulin 48 hours before the surgery. And drugs to be, I told you in the ops section, because why? Because because the insulin level actually reduced during the surgery. Drugs to be discontinued on the day of surgeries are metformin on the day of surgery. Now with this we have finished all the 20 years questions that have been asked from the anesthesia section. So keep studying, work hard, and watch these videos till the end because they are very high yielding. Even if you do these questions and sit in the exam, you would be able to mark at least from anesthesia, so you will be able to mark at least 80% of the questions because many are repeats. So till then, please like, share and subscribe the video because your response is my motivation. Take care. Goodbye.